I'm going to have a look now at linear equations, which is chapter 17 in the book. First of all, a linear equation is one that just has x's. It doesn't have x squared or anything like that. So we'll start off with simple equations first of all. You have letters on one side and numbers on the other. Now, remember when you move sides, you do the opposite. So if you're moving an adding thing, it becomes a subtracting. If you're moving a multiplying, it becomes a dividing, and so on. Now, we hint here. If you have a negative x, you just change the sign of every single term on both sides of the equal sign. I'll see what that means in a couple of minutes. First example I have here, 14e plus 4 equals 10. Bring your 4 over, it becomes take away. So you've got 14e equals 10. Take away 4 is 6. The 14 is multiplying the e, so when you bring it over, it becomes dividing. And then make sure you break that down at the end. You can divide both of those by 2 to give you 3 over 7. Example 2. Letters one side, numbers the other. Now, because I've got a negative in there, I would be inclined to change all those signs. So change that to a positive, that to a positive, and that to a positive. Now, bring this over to our side, so you've got letters one side and numbers the other. 2 take away 6 is minus 4. Then divide through by 4 at the end, giving you minus 1. This one here, you just go about the same way. Letters one side, numbers the other. So 6a is fine. That one's going to move over. Minus 5a is fine. Equal sign. I'm looking for all my letters. Move that over there to be a negative 2a. Now I'm doing my numbers. 4 and that minus 3, because it would be a plus 3. 6 take away 5 is 1. 1 take away 2 is minus 1a. Equals 7. And then just change all your signs so you don't have a negative letter. So a is minus 7. Example 4 is exactly the same. I'll do my letters first. Negative x is fine. We're at the other side of the equal sign now. That must come over to be a positive 2x. That must come over to be a positive 2x. Now do your numbers. 3 and 4 are fine. So 3 plus 4. The number here, positive 10, goes over there to be a negative 10. Tidying that up. 2 add 2 is 4, take away 1 is 3x. And 3 add 4 is 7, take away 10 is minus 3. The 3 is multiplying the x. When you bring your 3 over, it becomes dividing to give you minus 1. Now, you can get brackets in linear equations, and just the wee tip is multiply out any brackets first. So multiplying this out, multiply everything by 3, so it's 6a plus 9 equals, multiply everything by 2, 4a minus 2. So it's letters one side, 6a is fine, 4a comes over to be negative 4a, because it's positive 4a at that side. Now do your numbers, negative 2. This one will move over here to be a negative 9. 6a take away 4a is 2a. Minus 2 take away 9 is minus 11. And just divide through by 2. Now you can leave your answer like that, or you can break it down. 2 goes into that 5 times with 1 left over. Next wee example I have here of brackets. The minus is outside the brackets. That 1 is nothing to do with the bracket. So we'll just take the minus sign through. Minus x minus positive gives you a minus 10. That take away 10 is not to do with the brackets. 10 minus 2x. So let's get the letters sorted out. Minus x is fine. That comes over to, that was a negative 2x, it would be a positive 2x. Now do your numbers. 10, add 10, add 10, and that positive 1 comes over to be a negative 1. So that there, 2x take away 1x is just 1x. 10 add 10 add 10 is 30. Take away 1, 29. Now, the next stage is fraction equations. If you have two fractions equaling each other like these two examples, it's pretty straightforward. You just cross multiply. So that's where you take the top of this fraction and times it by the bottom of the other fraction. So I'm going to times those by 2 to give me 4 plus 2p. So 4 plus 2p equals. And you take the top of this fraction and times it by that bottom. So I'm going to multiply both of those by 3. So it becomes 9p minus 6. Now, if I move my 9p over there, it'll become negative 9p. So the question, what I'll be writing down would be 2p minus 9p, which would give me minus 7p. This time I'm going to put all my letters on this side, just because I don't want a negative letter. It just takes out a wee stage if you do this. So I'm putting all my numbers over there. 4 plus 6. So that becomes 10 equals 9. Take away 2 is 7p. The 7's multiplying the p. Bring it over, it becomes dividing. So p is 10 divided by 7, or 1 3/7. This one here is another example of cross multiplying. So you've got a minus outside, just let that minus sit there. Top times the bottom, 2 times 5, equals top times the bottom, 4x. You want the x and it's O, the 4 is multiplying it. So bring it across, it becomes dividing. Now you can break that down into minus 5 over 2. That can be broken down into minus 2 and a half, because 2 goes into 5 twice, with 1 left over. Those ones aren't too bad if you have a fraction equaling a fraction. It gets a bit more difficult in these ones here. We're trying to decide what to do. I'm looking at that one. I want to start biting away at this fraction. If I bring this over and do the opposite, I'll have 8a minus 4 over 3 equals 7. Take away 15, which is negative 8. Then if I bring this 3 over, it's dividing everything on that side. So if I bring it over, it becomes multiplying. So I'm left with 8a minus 4 equals minus 24. Now I've got it as a linear, straightforward linear equation. Letters one side, numbers the other. So it's minus 24 add 4 is minus 20. Final thing then is to divide 3 by 8. Minus 20 divided by 8. I can cancel down by 4. Minus 5 over 2. So 2 goes into that twice with 1 left over. This one here, I've got a bracket in this one as well. So I'll multiply out that bracket. So it's 6x minus 2. 6x minus 2 equals 5x over 3. This 3 is causing me problems. So I'm going to bring that 3 to our side and multiply. Because it's dividing everything on this side by 3, it must multiply everything on this side by 3. So 6 times 3 is 18x. 2 times 3 is 6, equals 5x. So the same as before, letters one side, numbers the other. So you have 18x, positive 5x, and there will be a negative 5x, and put your numbers over here, 6. 18 take away 5 is 13x equals 6. The 13 is multiplying the x. When you move over, it becomes dividing. Now, the last two examples are very difficult. The first one there, I've got a mixed number and I've got fractions. First thing I would do is I would change that into an improper fraction. So if we sort this out, it'll be 3, 2k plus 1 over 2 minus k plus 2 over 3 equals 14 times 6. Well, 6 4s are 24. 6 1s is 6. Add the 2 your carryings, 84. Add the 1, 85 over 6. When you're subtracting two fractions, you want the bottoms to be the same. 2 and 3 both go into 6. So we'll put them both over 6. To change your 2 to a 6, you have to times it by 3. So that means I have to times the top by 3. So instead of timesing the bracket by that single 3, I've got to times it by another 3. So in effect, I'm actually timesing the bracket by 9. To change this 3 into a 6, you times it by 2. So I've got to times that bracket by 2. Now, if you notice, the bottoms are all the same. Because these equations equal each other, if the bottoms are all the same, the tops have to be the same. So I can write that as 9, 2k add 1, minus 2 upon k add 2 equals 85. Timesing out that bracket, 18k add 9. Timesing out this bracket, be careful of that minus sign, is minus 2k minus 4 equals 85. And tidying this up, 18 take away 2k, 16k. Remember all your numbers go to the other side. So that comes over to be a positive 4. And that comes over to be a negative 9. So you've got 16k equals, now 4 take away 9 is minus 5. 85 take away 5 is 80. So then bring your 16 over and divide. 80 divided by 16 gives you 5. So k equals 5. Now, the last one I have here is just not as bad as example 5. I want to have a look at the layout of this one. It's a fraction take away something equals a fraction. I prefer them all to look like nice, neat fractions. So I'm going to write it like this. 3p add 2 over 1 equals 3 over 4. When you're subtracting fractions, you want the bottoms to be the same. So they both go into 2. So I'm going to double this one. So 2p add 1 over 2 minus. And same as I did over in the last example, you must double all of these. So it's 6p add 4 over 2 equals 3/4. The bottoms aren't the same this time, so I'm not just going to say ignore the bottoms and work with the tops. This time what I'm going to do, we've got a choice. You can make the bottoms both 4, and then you could ignore the bottoms and work with the top, like I did in the last example. Or you could just do your subtraction here and keep it over 2. I'm going to show you that approach this time. So 2p minus 6p is minus 4p. 1 minus 4 is minus 3. All over 2 equals 3/4. Now I've got a fraction equals a fraction, so I'm going to cross multiply. It's got to multiply everything by 4. So it's minus 16p minus 12 equals 3 times 2 is 6. Letters one side, numbers the other. Minus 16p equals 6, add 12 is 18. Now I've got a negative letter, just change all your signs. And then divide 3 by 16 at the end. So p equals minus 18 divided by 16. You can cancel that down by 2. So it's minus 9 over 8. Or you could write that as minus 8 goes into that once with 1 left over.